I think that Genshin's shadow story actually enhances the exploration in the game, right? So, with three main points, I think that contribute really to this kind of idea is this like environmental versus explicit storytelling. It's like the psychology, like making stories so bland that exploration actually seems like a reward, like you're being rewarded. It allows, I think, for greater personal analysis of the story. Like I feel like people don't like I don't like being handheld during a story. I think having a really horrible and shallow story like Genshin, and there's also problems that make it horrible, but I feel like it enhances the environmental and it just enhances the exploration of the game, right? So let's get to our first point. It is environmental versus explicit storytelling. So the environment, the presence of an environmental story is kinesthetic, which means that we can actually interact with objects. It's like I can pick up a Rubik's cube and like throw it at my professor. Like that is a very interactive kind of thing with puzzles and all of that. Like very much mirroring like assaulting your professor, right? And when you have like a lack, less the story like Genshin, where it is inherently like paimon disc, like squeaking ear, like squealing in your ears, the environment becomes more interesting. Like, say there's like a pixie in my ear, like talking to me and like squeaking about the quest I need to do, and then like I'm sitting in class and it's bothering me, and I'm like, hey, I can just kill my professor, right? Like it makes like interactable things like, hey, there's a pencil on my desk. I can just throw my professor. Like my professor is boring, so I'm just gonna throw stuff. Or like you could hurt the pixie, right? So such a like violent example really shows how much like having that interactive, having a lackluster story actually leads to more engagement, and it makes it so that the events in actual story quests are a lot more impactful. Like I would like 10 years down the line, I remember throwing my pencils at my professor more than like I would remember being squealed in my ear or being bored in class, right? Secondly, um, making this by having environmental storytelling, it is player driven instead of focusing on the story. So it has like an interactable choice, and I think if you think back to our childhood, having those like flip books, like those adventure books where you flip back and forth, like you choose your adventure, like some random example, I'll just make it up because that's always fun. um there's an adventure story where you are summoned by a wizard to go to Walmart and find the secret Cheerios. Like, and then you're flipping through the book, like one event, like you go down and like you're killed by like the carnivorous egg. So like you're killed by the store. You're bargaining with the store manager to get the last of the sheep, which are stored at the back of the shop for some reason. And at the end, you get the magic Walmart Cheerios, right? And I think that kind of line of reasoning also works within Genshin, right? We see that having this kind of choice, having like having this choice of like focusing mainly on the story or having this exploration, and having the exploration actually be really cool and interactive and fun, and having like making you like actually think and go through everything and find and do the puzzles, and that actually is intriguing. It makes it so that it is a much more satisfying story because you've done it yourself, right? And finally, onto our third point, it allows for greater player interpretation and analysis, right? And we're going to go into this idea from this essay that was written called Death of an Author. Essentially it says, man, we don't need to put the author on this pedestal, right? We don't need to listen to this, like we don't need to know every single detail of this guy, because we can't fathom where inspiration comes. Like imagine this guy, right? Like if you look at Franz Kafka, like Insanity, like he writes about a guy turned into a cockroach. It's like what inspired you to like write a story about a cockroach? It's like like when he turned into a cockroach, it was like I wasn't like you can't plausibly like each part of the book have that. So it's like, hey, and by having that, you have multiple different lanes of interpretation, and though you can use the background, like let's say the contextual background, historical background they use to create regions like Sumer or like Fontaine, which is based off France, right? You can use that. There is still a multitude of interpretation, and you still get to the main idea of the story, right? You read Franz Kafka, like you can still read Franz Kafka and still get to the kind of understanding of Franz Kafka that like there is like the system will always go on, even though good people try to fight the fight, it will still go on, and it's still kind of like the system still prevails, even through human suffering, right? And it's same as in the story, like even through different lenses of analysis, we'll still get to the same conclusion, right? uh, all in all, I think through the like environmental storytelling, the decisions that you make, and the great interpretive analysis, I think that really it is. I think realistically, Hoyoverse's actual experiment with Genshin Impact is how bad can we have a story that that players are forced to actually explore the world. And I thank you very much.
Don't understand what's going on here.